So we're doing book-clubbable games, all that to say, not what's in your board game book club.
Quick as you can.
Yeah.
If someone's only joining us on YouTube, which you should also check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and lots of pretty much Google Podcasts.
Yep, those three.
What's a book club game again? Book club game?
A book club game is a game that you could see yourself playing with the same group of people over and over again, maybe at the same time, same day, every week. You know, every Tuesdays at 7, we get together and we play Merv. It doesn't matter what the game is.
The way that old ladies get together for mahjong or bridge, or Jake's parents play euchre with another couple. Like, I don't know if it's weekly or not, but it's quite often.
That's quite literally the essence of a book club game.
Same group, same game. We're going to learn the game, but we're also going to learn the other players at the table, and it's just this common thread of this group.
You seem excited to get into it, so why don't you start with your number 6?
No, with my honorable mention.
Start with your honorable mention. Yeah, start with your
honorable mention is a game, the second game you ever said this about, and it is Glory to Rome.
Hey!
I think I hesitate to put it in the top 6 because it's almost impossible to find. We lucked out, and by lucked out, I mean we know Andy. And so it's hard to put it on a list and tell people, yeah, you should go, do a ongoing game of this because it's going to be hard to find, but that's mine. Did you have an honorable mention? Or?
I did have an honorable mention. It's a game I already mentioned earlier in the podcast, and the reason it's my honorable mention is because I have not played it, and it's very new, and it's Zoo Vadis. I just get this sense that I could get the same group together every week and negotiate such a simple system. I think that's a book clubbable game, easy.
And I believe you said that my Knizia probation for top 6 list goes to about 2026. So I left Knizia games off of mine, and I'll just whisper into the camera, every Knizia game is a book club.
All right, so hit me with your number 6, officially on the list now.
On the list. My number 6 is Root.
Ooh, that's a great answer.
I could see it a lot of different ways, right? I could see the same, 4 people. I think you'd want the full 4 to be doing this, consistently. I could see them playing the same roles every time, and just
you learn your faction. And you
just are the Woodland Alliance.
I love it,
and we know he loves to kind of get into the middle of the map and blow stuff up, and and really learn people that way. Or you could even do like hey. We know every time we get together, we hit the root randomizer, and you get what you get, and you gotta adjust to it.
I love that.
But the asymmetry, that war idea, we're gonna get together and see who the greatest woodland critter is. I think I think that would have legs.
Root missed my list, but I think what this concept is showing me is how much I want to kind of thin out my collection to some of these games and really invest into these book clubbable games.
I wish I could, but I'm addicted and I can't stop it.
I love Root, and the fact that I didn't put it on my list, that should speak to people. So
yeah,
to the people.
Do you guys realize what you're witnessing?
I'm gonna go 6 and 5, so we're gonna snake it a little bit. Partly because this number 6 is also one I already mentioned because it is near and dear to my heart, and I think it's near and dear to a lot of people who play board games. And it's Settlers of Catan. It's such a breakout, pretty easy to teach.
There's a lot of groups that play this often, and only this.
I think it has had such staying power in the board game industry. I couldn't possibly leave it off of my list. There's a reason it's number 6 is because it's a pretty split community for Catan, I think.
My frustration with Catan is because this is true of Catan.
Yeah, exactly.
There are people who play it so often and love it and seem to not play anything else. That there's that part of me that's like, try other games. But I have to admit, it clearly offers that to people.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go to number 5. Number 5 for me is a game that might be on your list. I'd be surprised if it isn't. PAX Premier 2nd Edition. That was a game that we played. I was surprised at the speed of it and kind of learning how everyone played. That was you, me, Logan, and Barry playing that together. Yeah. And I loved it. I wanted to play it again. I wanted to see how people changed their strategies with kind of the card rows. Definitely. And with I can't remember exactly the way that everything worked, but there was the warfare element of it. There was the card buying of it. There was a little bit of not really exact bluffing going on, but there was some bluffing going on with like whether or not you were going to move into an area on your turn, how you were going to take over an area. I think you could learn people's strategies in that game, but I think you could shift them very easily too.
There's so many subtleties to that game. You know, you could have kind of like one of those assassin type of cards out and with no intention of ever using it, but everybody sees that you have it. You know, I mean, it's an amazing game, and I think we needed that first play to fully learn the game. It would be a shame if we don't play a second one really pretty soon, I would say, even because you don't want to be relearning it every time. I love that's it. A great one. Yeah.
What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Tichu. And I'm kind of using it as a stand-in for card games and trick-taking games. Like we referenced how we have a friend whose parents have an ongoing Euchre, another couple they play Euchre with. And I think that card games, trick-taking games really lend themselves to this. It's you know, we're going to learn the rule set. We all know it. We don't have to teach it to each other. We just need a deck of cards, in this case a Tichu deck, which is not so much different from a regular deck of cards. And, you know, we're just going to play this every time. I chose Tichu instead of some others, like game like Haggis, or just some other games that come to mind because of the team. A lot of these games have a team base. Yeah. But I like the idea of having a team.
You said that was your stand-in for trick-taking?
Yeah.
So Cat in the Box isn't on this list.
I love Cat in the Box. Cat in the Box to me is an experience. I don't know that I would be doing that every week. It's kind of like I'd rather be playing Tichu or Euchre or something like that every week, and then every once in a while I'll be like, "Hey guys, want to try some Cat in the Box?" And really just like throw a little mix up in there.
More of an excursion type of a thing. Something you do every once in a while. Yeah. All right. Why don't you hit me with your number 4? We'll kind of snake it like we've been doing.
This is my big co-op, and it's the game Spirit Island.
Ooh.
And I've said before that I think Spirit Island is more of a like a game console than it is just a game, because the way that you can plug in, you know, I'm going to choose a different character or spirit, but you can plug in different opponents that play differently. You're going to always have the same general backbone of a game, but you can really add a lot of different things in, especially when you get the expansions in there and stuff. It can get really unique, but again, almost similar to Root. It's like you could just be the same spirit. For the next year, let's just have you be this spirit. Let's see how well this team works. Whereas Root, we're all against each other. Here, it's like, how good can we get at synergizing these powers?
I like that.
And you know, how much can we crush, and how much can we turn the difficulty?
I love that. I love the idea that it's like flexible. You could be the same faction or the same spirit every time with Spirit Island, or you could play a different one every time, and you could get that a different type, but the same amount of fun out of either of those engines. That's pretty cool. I like that idea. Number 4 for me, I do not have the Knizia ban as Rodney does. So number 4 for me is Babylonia. I remember the first time you and I played that, and the first time we played it with Barry and Jake, and it was so snappy, and it all clicked for us. The game was relatively close. And we were like, oh man, if we played again, I'd do that differently, just that one move, and that might have won me the game. And that's kind of why it fits into my book club category, is because like you could look back over a game, see how you did it differently, take a completely different strategy with the scoring, with the chaining of your network and everything like that. Like, it's such a simple game, but again, it has kind of that versatility where you could take it one way or the other. How aggressive you are. Babylonia is almost like 4-player chess in a sense to me, and I would definitely put that in a list of book club games.
Permission to respond to your thoughts about Reiner Knizia?
My thoughts?
No, do I have your permission?
Oh, yeah. Right. Permission granted.
He's seen being so nice on camera, but he hit me so hard so many times.
I said I would never forgive him.
In the neck, face, and back.
Oh.
After
I don't remember that. I must have blacked out.
Knizia seems to have these classics that are like just unassailable, amazing design. Something like, I always bring up Tigris and Euphrates, but I think Yellow and Yangtze, you know. And then he has like this next tier where it's like, these are not classics, but oh my gosh, don't sleep on them.
Yeah.
And I think Babylonia is right in there. It's like, dude, it doesn't have to be as good as, you know, Yellow and Yangtze, Tigris and Euphrates, but oh my, like, play it, and play it a lot.
Yeah. So that was my number 4. I agree completely. thanks for asking permission, but you've earned some Knizia credits there, so
Thank you.
save them up. Number 3 for me.
Use them to get you to play Millefiore, which is coming in the mail.
That's fine.
So.
You don't have to use them there. Number 3 for me is a game that we have played recently. It is a big fighty game where you're battling each other and battling monsters.
Almost.
Looking for control of the island? Who knows? Dwellings of Eldervale.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it. I love the idea where you can flip your player board and have the different, the different powers for each of your other meeples. I like how versatile it is with the map coming out and the different cards. I think you could learn people's strategies pretty easy in that game. Are they going to go really hard in one element? Are they going to spread themselves out over the different elements? How are they going to fight? That might have been number 1 if it wasn't for these other 2 games that are going to show up, because that is
how this works. Your number 3 would have been number 1 except for number 2.
Yeah, that's quite literally how it is.
But you like it that much. I
like it.
If someone had said, "Hey, do you want to do a board game book club?" You choose the game. You could have seen yourself picking that.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
You thought of these other 2. But.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry for the redundancy there with my comment. No, Dwellings of Eldervale is awesome. I know you love it a lot too.
Yeah, and I didn't put it on here. Maybe I just thought of like the setup. But whatever. I mean,
but if you're playing it the same day, same time every week, it doesn't become a bear because you're setting it up every time, every week, and who knows.
Also, not the easiest to find, but 100% yes. And I think
these are all no holds barred, right? Like money's no object.
Sure.
The availability of the game doesn't matter.
Well, and if honestly, even buying a secondhand copy of something like Glory to Rome, which is way too expensive, but if you think that you're gonna have the same group play it every week for a year or something, then I think that's worth whatever, But
yeah, do it.
Dwellings of Eldervale is amazing, and I think what I come away with every time is I just want to try these different factions.
Yeah.
I really want to do it. And I know that's kind of been a theme, but in the other games, I said I want to do the same one. With Eldervale, I think I'd really want to be mixing it up every time.
The games that fall into this book club for us seem to be either games that have a faction where you have different powers, or games that are totally beige where you only can do the same thing as everyone else. It's funny how it's playing out like that.
Yeah, it's funny.
What's your number 3 and 2?
My number 3 is War of the Ring, the card game. And it's because I'm a real purist on this concept that Connor came up with 3 weeks ago. I've always been a traditionalist on it, and I don't think 2-player games are a book club. So I War of the Ring, you said it in something we recorded tonight that War of the Ring, that could be for just another person. The card game again has that team element in a card game, which I love. I think it could be swingy. It has those feel bad moments where you're like, well, I just can't do anything because the cards I have, but the plays I've had of it, it's like, ooh, this is some Tolkien in a box, and I love it. And it's a card game, and it gives you some of that feeling of like, I can actually beat what you just put on the table, and I can synergize, and I can have some chains, and I can do different things like that, and I can get Saruman beefed up like
attach those items,
and every play is going to be different.
Yeah,
and you're doing the kind of that retelling of the story in a different way.
Yeah. This is another one where if our list went to 10, that would have made my list as well, because we've played that maybe 3 or 4 times, two or three times, more than we've played a lot of games. Actually, right. Unfortunately,
it's
twice the amount. It's
the 3rd most played game in my collection. No,
something like that.
Close.
What's your number 2?
I went with Pax Pamir 2nd edition.
Oh, yeah. You acted like it wasn't on your list.
Everything you said. I think if you were to get your shovel out and start digging, I don't know how deep that game goes, right? In terms of the actual gamesmanship of it,
Yeah, gaming the game.
You and I are both on the same side, but like in my head, I know I'm going to backstab the second I get a chance. And
the betrayal, that's what I was trying to think of with the kind of the bluffing, are you on my team or are you not? I loved that about it.
It's so interesting because a game that is literally just cards.
And a tiny map.
And the map matters, but in our first play at least, it was a lot of like, okay, who's he got in front of him and what's he got going? And is that the closest card to me if I were to go to attack him? Or is that one just, that card he basically just has out to protect against the one next to it? we're talking basically without nouns right now about a game, but it just has it has so much, and I imagine it has actually more than I think it does.
I think so too. I completely agree. Would have been higher on my list if it wasn't for the other ones. I really like saying that now.
No, it should be your catchphrase now.
Number 2 for me is what I think is actually your number 1. I think.
It's not. You don't know my number 1.
I've never played it. I don't know it. Number 2 for me is a game that is widely known in the board game hobby and widely considered, to be in like basically every board game lover's collection. It's talked about so often. It's kind of made fun of sometimes. It's Hansa Teutonica. Maybe the most globally book-clubbable game. Like if you went around and talked to different reviewers and content creators and just board gamers, they might put that as their number 1. I hear it revered and talked about so highly so often that it couldn't possibly not be on my list.
When I think about playing it and I'm just around a table and it's kind of like, I'm going to plop this cube down here and block you and da-da-da, but the kind of actions are usually pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you're going, but you're seeing things happen. And you're like, oh, really? You're going to make me spend... Yeah, lots of moments for a game that beige.
Yeah. And I imagine it's not your number 1. You said I didn't know it. So number 1 for me is an aforementioned game. It's Glory to Rome. I absolutely... Part of it is just my love for the one play that we had. I thought it was so fun. It clicked for me so well. And I can imagine it was worth the hype. That was one game out of plenty of games that we've played that we've heard a lot about. And I had low expectations for it, and it just absolutely knocked it out of the park for me. And I can see why that's true for other people. I can see why it's so highly sought after, not just because it's out of print, but I can imagine, a book club game of books that are really hard to find, right? Glory to Rome could be one of those too. What do you think?
Like you said, I had every intention of selling that as soon as we got done playing it. What's funny is I had my mind made up on that. You seem to have your mind made up. We even have a top 6 list of out-of-print games, and you said on that, I think that game's overrated.
Yeah,
then
without having played it.
Well, yeah, but, then we played it, and it was like, okay, it still is too expensive for what it is, and what it is really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think we'll keep in a lot to it. So, yeah. It was my honorable mention. I feel strongly about it.
So, mysterious number 1. What is it?
I got cheeky again.
You put 6 Reiner Knizius
in
there.
I did not. I'm not using my credits up that quick. I'm going to attempt something really...
I don't like where this is headed at all.
Hitherto unseen in our top 6s. You remember the dress picture? Is it blue and black or is it white and gold?
Yeah.
Right? You remember what were the sounds? It was like Yanni and Laurel or something?
That's
Yanni
exactly what they were, yeah.
I'm going to say that my number 1 on my list is the number 1 game of all time, according to BGG. And if you're a Euro gamer, you're going to hear Brass Birmingham. And if you're like a big, co-op dungeon crawl, more Ameritrash, you're going to hear Gloomhaven. And it's so all I'm going to say into the camera, number 1 game of all time on BGG, and you heard what you heard, right? And as much as that's a very stupid joke I just did, I could believe in both of those games. I know you're Brass Birmingham. Again, one play, and we should say it didn't grab you for sure that one play.
We played it wrong in some ways.
I'm still Brass Birmingham curious.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in getting it right.
I wonder if that's still true for you if we played it again. But I used to do this with Oceans, and then I sold it. So,
yeah.
I do think that a lot of what makes Euro games stick for people is present in that game. You got the map, you're playing a card out to do what you're gonna do, but you're gonna maximize your production in some industry to hopefully hit when the market's just right and sell and and player interaction, which we missed out on with some rule goofs. I think you'd have a lot of that. You'd be playing your people. Gloomhaven, I've only ever played a one-off dungeon crawl of it, and my thought was, oh, I get it. I
see the light.
I get why people would say this is the greatest game of all time.
Yeah.
And I'll never own it. I'll never do it because the way I am, I don't play these games over and over. I don't play the same game over and over.
It's not in your book club. but you can see why it's so book.
I think it's exact. I think if you're going to own Gloomhaven, you better have a Gloomhaven book club.
Yeah.
You better have the same group
need to, yeah.
over and over and over again. And if you do, I think you're going to be wowed at what that design really is and how they like tied it all together. And, oh my gosh, this is like a video game. It's amazing. And if you're not doing that, I think you've just got a really expensive box on your shelf.
Yeah, that's tough.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so whatever you're into, you know, Gloom Birmingham or Brass Haven, whichever one you want to get into.
Tell us in the comments.
Thanks for listening, guys. That's our top 6. That is our podcast on Book-Clubbable games, book club games in general. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
We are nothing if not objective, fair, reasonable, well-informed. Forget about that time that I said that Huang had nothing to do with rivers, and it actually does. Or any of the other things that I've said that were just actually
flat out
wrong.
Not true.
Just wrong. We're trying to get better, like we said.